Hi there, my name's Aaron Short. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Monday. Today is Monday, February 27th. The year's flying by, isn't it? Is it not? It'll soon be, can you believe that? It'll soon be March. What is going on? Absolutely crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And I spent most of this year just selling stuff on Reverb so far. That's not true. I've done some fun shows as well. I'll talk about that today. Yeah. It's interesting. 2023. I guess there's been worse years. It's going pretty well so far. Rosanna, how you doing today? Good to see you. As you can hear, I'm just recovering from a cold. It wasn't the dreaded C word. I took a test or two. Wasn't that? Feel much better myself, but still a little bit congested. You can probably hear that if you watch my channel. So just get that out of the way. Good to see you. Thank you for moderating today. Hopefully we'll have no spammers or scammers. I notice lots of junk mail these days. I used to get kind of 5 or 6 a day in my junk mail on the Mac, and the last few days I've had like 200 a day, which is annoying because I used to like to go through them and make sure they were indeed junk mail. But when you get 200 or 300 junk mails a day, you have to just delete them all, right? You can't afford to sit there and go through every single one. Is that just me? Doctor's in the house. You're that the doctor's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Tell us about this fractal that you ordered. David Belcher. Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone in the chat. Good afternoon, Aaron, and everyone in the chat. I hope your week is off to a good start. Nice. That Reverend is still for sale. I'll give you an update on my sales today. Rosanna and everyone in the chat from Patsy, and Marco says hi, Aaron. Good to see you, Marco. I like to start with my life update. I mean, there's Aaron Short music, right? I should probably do that. So last week I played my regular shows. I played Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I did 2 on Saturday. That was a really good week. I've got to admit, I really enjoy playing the gigs again. I loved those live stream concerts. They were fun. And they were necessary at the time, of course, because we couldn't play any shows. But there's something about playing in a bar, even a bar, small bar in front of 10 people. There's something about that, because when you play to the computer, you are basically playing to the computer. Although people are listening, sending their thoughts and super chats and comments, and it's always a nice thing, seeing that person is obviously so different. I wonder if eventually we'll have a system where we can see the people. I guess already we could do a Zoom type thing, right? We could do Zoom and actually see the people on the screen. But I wonder if that will be a thing eventually. Let's turn my humidifier off for a second. So yeah, obviously I'm not discounting live streaming. It's amazing. You get to meet people in Australia and all around the world, and you know, all around the world. So I'm not discounting that. In fact, sometimes you do a live stream on a Sunday and play to more people than you'd ever play to in a local club or bar, but you just don't get that audience feedback. Now, that's not always a good thing. Sometimes that's a bad thing as well. But more often than not, I like to say, it's a good thing to get that reaction from a human being. And I like that a lot. So let me know your thoughts on that. I think both things are important. I think I will go back to doing some live stream concerts in the future once I've sold some more stuff and got some more space in this room. It's looking really nice now, I must admit. Really like it, but I could still get a bit more space still. I think this big amp is going to go. Be nice to get the whole room opened up so I can just do my playing with no obstacles around. Yeah, that was really good. And then I've been selling. I've been selling stuff since January, really. It's been almost 3 months, or well, 8 weeks, I guess, of just constant selling on Reverb. And initially, no one was buying. I think the start of the year was very slow, and I wasn't selling anything. And then I sold a lot of pedals and accessories pretty easily. And then the guitars just were not selling. But what I came to realize is you mustn't freak out and just drop the prices. You must stick with it. Some guitars, there's 2 guitars I was trying to sell for a long time, and eventually they did sell. You got to remember, like, that person looking for that guitar, maybe tomorrow someone wakes up and wants a Reverend, and they see my Reverend on Reverb and they want to buy it from me. Or it might be in 6 months someone wakes up and wants a Reverend and they buy it. So I also found I did some experiments. I also found that dropping prices doesn't work. Last Monday was a holiday here in America, and I dropped my prices a lot, and I did some discounted sales on Reverb of several items. They didn't sell, but then throughout the week they sold at their regular price. Also, maybe sometimes if you drop the price too low, people think there's something wrong with the item. I don't know. I'll also say this. I've had a couple of issues with shipments. I've done all these shipments and only had 2 problems, knock on wood, so far. But Reverb have backed me up really well. And I think as a buyer, they've done that as well in the past. So I know Reverb take their administration fee and their processing fee, and then you've got to pay the shipping. But with shipping, you haven't got to meet someone at a local cafe, which I don't like doing. I'd rather ship something to somebody. And the good thing with Reverb is you do get the cheaper shipping. You can add the insurance, which I highly recommend you do. So although they get you a bit on that, they don't get you because they're providing the platform to sell in the first place. Although they take money from your sale, you're then saving money when you do the shipping through them. And if there's a problem, they will then step in and help you out. So I think it's worth paying for that. The only thing is, of course, there's this thing of if you sell more than a certain amount of stuff per year, they'll send you the 1099. That was changed. This year it was going to be like over 500. They changed it to like over 1,000 or something, 2,000. I'm not sure. They got a I think they did like what do you call it? So I'm not thinking very straight today because of my cold. They got a petition, and they did have that kind of. They're holding off on enforcing that, especially at that low number. So, yeah, well, that's a boring video for another time. All right. The Doctor will have his FM9 here on Wednesday. I'm still really enjoying my Quad Cortex. But the FM9 has many more features, many more effects, but it doesn't have the audio interface, doesn't have the mic input. It's an interface, I think, but it doesn't have the mixer function with the 2 XLR inputs is what I mean. It doesn't profile. It will do EQ matching, but it doesn't profile. And I think if you don't sing, if you play guitar only, it might be a good way to go. I just think for them, they need to make a mobile editor. For me, that's what's missing from the Fractal stuff. Nick Johnson says, "What Martins do you still own?" So Nick, the thing is, I started with guitars that I just knew I didn't want. Like if I had 2 of one guitar or whatever, I've got a bass that I want to sell. I'm just never going to play the bass, right? I just realized that. I've held off on the Martins because that's going to take more thought. And maybe you can offer me some help with this. Because I've still got the Custom Shop 28 Engelmann, I've still got the 2 Authentics, I've still got the 2 Anthems. And what else? There's another one. But even that alone, right? That's like 5 straight away. So my thing is like, do I want to keep the GPC and the HDC? The HDC sounds better to me plugged in. It's a little bit bigger, but it definitely sounds better plugged in, I've found. So I think I'm going to let the GPC go. And also, I'm not really... if I play out now, I'm playing the Cole Clark. So I've just got one Cole Clark now that I'm gigging with exclusively. So that Martin HDC would just be just a backup for that. I almost don't need that either. But I won't have any Martin Dreadnoughts if I sell the Authentics. So I might keep the HDC because that is a cool guitar. I've always liked it, and you can't get them anymore. Also, remember, if you buy a Martin now, you get the streaky fretboard, whereas the Martins that you might have got a few years ago will not have the streaky fretboard. They were, in fact, dyed, but at least they're not streaky. I'm sorry, I'm not really a fan of the streaky fretboards usually. So that's another reason. So I think I'd keep that HDC. The big question for me is the Authentics, because they are absolutely wonderful guitars. They sound maybe better than anything else in the world, right? They sound incredible. But they are a bit harder to play. I knew that going into it, but they are. And I thought I'd be okay with that, but for that reason, I haven't really picked them up. And there's a lot of money in those guitars that's just sitting there. I'm looking at it right now. It's just sitting there, right? So I think the problem for me for the Authentics is I don't want to hack them up too much to put pickups in. I don't really play unplugged. I usually plug in all the time. When I played Saturday, I used the whole Cole Clark, but I plugged it into the battery amp. So that's the thing. If you've got a battery-powered £15 amp, you can just plug into that and play. You don't need a loud acoustic unless you're recording. I'd say if you're recording, you want a loud acoustic guitar. Maybe you don't. Maybe if you're recording with microphones, you don't need a loud acoustic guitar. But I think there's just so much money tied up in those two. I think I might let the GPC, the two Authentics go, and I might keep the OM. Oh, there's actually another OM I've got which I haven't shown on the channel yet, which I'm going to keep as well. I'll save that for a video. Yeah, I think I'll do that. And then Strat-wise, I've decided I'm going to keep one Fender SSS Strat and my Sir HSS, which is coming back from repair. Should have been here today. I think it'll come tomorrow. The mail, the postal system is really messed up everywhere right now. I think that Strat as an HSS with a split pickup and very lightweight and stainless steel frets will probably be my main electric guitar. And then my SSS Fender will just be like, I must have an SSS Fender Strat. So that then leaves me with about 5 other Strats that I'm going to sell, including this one behind me. So yeah, I've still got a lot of stuff to go. I really want to go down to the Rain Song, a Martin, the Cole Clark, the 2 Strats, the Tele Deluxe, and the travel guitar. I really want to get under 10. And yeah, so let me know your thoughts on that if you've got any thoughts. It's so hard because if I'm just talking about myself, I won't talk for other people. But you know, I bought guitars because I thought I needed them. Now I realize I don't. And now I realize I don't have the space anyway, or the money. So that's why I'm really doing this. And then you got to be, I mean me. I've got to be really hard on myself. Like, what do I actually need? What am I going to gig with? That's the other thing. Now I'm gigging. I kept trying to move away from the Cole Clark. I wanted to gig them on the Martins. They don't sound as good plugged in live. They don't work as well live as the Cole Clark does. And I've put this in here as well. The newer Cole Clark, the new Cole Clark pickup is what I like. The older one is okay, but the modern Cole Clarks, the recent ones with the new system, the one that was released last year, it just works so well for me. And I do get compliments from people at venues. You would think with gear you don't get that kind of feedback from the people, but I do get people tell me that guitar sounds great. So there's nothing I can do. It's funny because the whole channel started from playing some Maitons, not really Cole Clark at the time, but playing some Maitons and some Anthem guitars that I thought sounded really good for live, and basically trying to find a pickup system to make a Martin sound that good. That was the whole thing. Can I have like a very minimal pickup in a Martin that sounds great, that then sounds like a Cole Clark on stage? And what I've come to realize is, no, you can't. It's not possible. Maybe it'll be possible with a pedal, but then you've still got to take a pedal. And there's this, I just tried everything. If you watch my videos, I just tried everything and nothing got me there. But the Cole Clark with the latest system is amazing plugged in. And I plug in, I even plug in at home. If I'm playing here, I usually plug into the interface and use headphones because I want to add that reverb. I want to add that delay. I like that sound. And I often like to use a looper as well. So for me, the pickup is so important. But the funny thing is, to a lot of acoustic players, the pickup is not important at all. It's all about the acoustic guitar's natural tone. I realize that. I've been on the forums and the Facebook groups. It's all about the unplugged sound. And I get that. It makes a lot of sense. It's an acoustic guitar. But so many of us plug in on stage, and that plugged-in sound is also important. And I need that rich tone and that response when I play, especially on my own, you know. So, hope that answers the question. Doc says I don't budge on prices. Yeah, you shouldn't. And the other thing I found is when you've got a fair price and you've got good pictures, you've got a good description, people will just buy it. I found that as well. And that's good. You see, Nick, you get it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You love the guitar, you don't love the pickup. That's exactly my point. It's my point exactly. So you get it, right? So what I tried to do, and what I would tell people now not to bother with, was to find a system that sounded like I mean the Cole Clark is my gold standard. It's just the way it is. So I tried to find a way to make that. Let's take your OMJM. I tried to find a way to make that OMJM you have sound like a Cole Clark plugged in. But I realize now it's simply not possible. The reason is the Cole Clarks are hard wood that my model is hard wood that doesn't it's stiff wood, so it doesn't resonate too much. It's got it's got a pickup under the saddle, quite a big. It's not heavy, by the way. People say those systems are heavy. They are not. I've got a couple of them here. They're really light, but they look heavy. It's funny how when people see a big under saddle pickup, like they think it's really heavy, like 3 pounds. It's not. The whole thing weighs, I don't want to say, but it doesn't really weigh anything. It's more like ounces. It's not pounds, right? So the fact you've got that there, and then they've routed out the saddle for that, which you wouldn't want to do on your OMJM, and the fact they've got a big body sensor in the brace. So again, they've put it in the brace. You wouldn't want to do that on your OMJM. And there's a little mic in the preamp, and all this stuff gives you that sound. So what I decided to do, and what people might want to consider if you do play out a lot, is to first of all, find the acoustic that you love to play and listen to in the room. So that might be your OMJM for you. So that's great. And then maybe get a guitar for the stage. So I would say if you only play it a few times a year, then a soundhole pickup or something is fine. Or even a pickup you don't like very much. You can get by for a couple of times a year, right? But if you play like I was 3 or 4, I mean back then I was playing 7 nights a week. So this plugged in sound was so important to me. So I think if I could do it all again, I would have just found a acoustic that sounded amazing. I wouldn't have even put a pickup in it at all. I would have left it completely acoustic. I wouldn't have done anything to it. Just find the guitar that sounds and plays great in the room and make that your at-home and recording guitar. And then look for a guitar that sounds great plugged in. Either buy the same guitar again and make the action a little bit lower and put in an Anthem, or buy something like a Cole Clark and have all that system already built into the guitar. So that's if I could do it all again, that's what I would do to save a lot of time, a lot of money. Of course, we can't do it all again. And also, when I did do it, people were telling me at the time to do that, and I ignored them. So with some people, you just have to learn it for yourself. And then with some people, you'll install the pickup you have in your OMJM, and you'll be fine with it. You might even say it sounds better than my guitar does. Well, that's great. I'm happy for you. That's just not the case with me. Rexomatic, how you doing? How's the rain song? For reverb sales, do you leave the make an offer option available? Good point. So what I do, let's say I'm listing something, like let's take that Reverend behind me, for example. The first thing I do is look up how much did I pay for it, how much is it new. So these are now 1,700, but you can't buy them anymore. So you got to factor that into it. And I think I paid about 15 for mine. But I think, yeah, so you can't get them now. Then you look at Reverb used prices. And the problem with that is at the moment is that there's 2 of those on there for like $950 in good condition. So that then sways the meter, doesn't it? Because I would have put that up there. I would like to have gotten 13. It's in mint condition. I used it on 2 weddings. I would like to have gotten 13, maybe 13 with shipping. Sometimes it's good to include the shipping, but you've got to be careful with that, especially nowadays. It's so expensive to ship. Even with the Reverb discount, it's expensive to ship. So I was buying some boxes from Reverb, so there's an expense right there. Once I ran out of boxes, I was buying some. You can go to your local guitar store. I actually went to Guitar Center the other day, and they had a load of boxes there. I was like, oh, they're all sitting outside the store. But anyway, I bought some boxes. Bubble wrap is expensive now. I get mine from Amazon, but Staples is really expensive. But they sometimes give you a coupon when you do ship something. They give you $10 off, and you can use that. Of course, the best thing to do is just to save that stuff when you do get a guitar for future shipping. But if you don't have it and you want to do it properly, that's expensive, that stuff. And then the shipping as well. So you can do free shipping, but For me, an electric guitar is anywhere between 50 to 150 to ship. If I shipped a heavy bass to California, it'd be more like 150, especially with all that packaging stuff as well. Even the tape you use to seal the box, right? All this stuff adds up. But anyway, if you do free shipping, it's much more attractive to the buyer. So make an offer. It depends. If I set it on the slightly higher side, then I turn on make an offer. I used to worry that people would try to take advantage of me and just lowball all the time, but they don't do that so much lately. I think people are more savvy now to buying and selling gear. So I didn't get many lowball offers. I did on Facebook Marketplace for some other electronic stuff I was selling, but not for guitars as such. Most of my guitars sold at the price I asked for, but I think that's because I just set a really fair price. And I said, look, this is in really good condition. I listed the condition. I also improved my photographs. When I started doing it, I would lay the guitar on the bed and just take a few pictures. Now that there's a great thing, you see, now the living room is empty. I was able to put a guitar stand in there and take pictures on portrait mode with my phone, and they look so much better. And then for the pedals, I set it up on the kitchen table with a piece of wood background, and there was some shadows, so I put 2 of my existing lights already owned next to them, like floodlights, and flooded from either side. It looks so much better. The quality of the photos is obviously really, really, really important. And then putting like a full description of why you're selling it, and that you're the original owner, and oh, what else? There's some other tips I just thought of. You've got to put all that stuff, be very transparent. It also helped that I had a lot of good reviews on Reverb as well, I'm sure. But yeah, I want to tell you, I had two issues. One issue was a guitar, the pickup didn't work. That was just a dirty connection. Obviously, during shipping, maybe the moisture affected it a little bit, and the contact got dirty, and that was easy to fix. That was fine. That was a bit stressful at the time. The biggest one for me is this amplifier. I remember I sold the Kemper cab like a month ago. That thing went to the destination, and then supposedly they didn't attempt to deliver it, and it got sent back to me. But then I was out on the Friday at a gig, and I got a card left, and then they left another card, but they didn't knock, and then they didn't leave a card, and it went straight back supposedly. I keep saying supposedly because I don't know. This is a complete mystery. It went back again via Illinois to Texas, and it just vanished. And I saw my UPS driver, and I said, what happened with that? Did you have an amp for me? He goes, oh yeah, it was an amp. So I believe he actually had it. And I didn't say anything about not getting the third card because he's been good to me, and he's my driver. I don't feel like my UPS driver. He might stop bringing my packages altogether, and he's been very, very good over the years. But so I believe he took it back to the warehouse and it then got sent back to the person. But why would you just keep sending it back and forth? Why wouldn't you say on the third attempt when they send it to him? Why didn't they say we're going to hold it for 7 days? You have to come and pick it up. They just sent it straight back. It's absolutely bizarre. But that's why it's good to have Reverb there, because then you can contact them and they will figure it out if you've paid for the insurance. If I hadn't have had Reverb, or even if I paid for the insurance, I've heard stories where you don't get helped out by UPS. So having Reverb there as that in between is really nice. Let me just have some water. I've got my big water jug now. All right, let's move on to some other questions. I also got this last week, and yes, I bought something, but I sold 2 things to buy this. This is an MC6 Pro, and I had an MC8, and I also had a AirTurn. No, not an AirTurn. AirStep? No, not an AirStep. they're all so similar. The one that's battery powered. Anyway, I sold 2 MIDI controllers, and I bought this one, so I still made a little profit, I suppose, or at least got my money back on those. This is really nice because what they've done is they've added a color screen. Look at that. Now that's not color because I haven't added colors, but straight away the text is easier to read than the old one. The old one was like one of those black and green screens. I know it still looks a bit hard to read on here, but don't worry, that's just the way the camera picks it up. It's absolutely fine in real life. But you've got a much nicer screen. I feel like it's a bit smaller. I might be wrong. They've added USB-C, so that USB-C cable is connected to the computer and it's powering it as well. It's really small. It's really light. It's really easy to program. So I'm using it today to do things like this. Look, I've got subscribe scene on this foot switch. So if I press it, it changes scenes. Isn't that cool? Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I've got main scene on the bottom left. Press it. And I'm back to main. I've got round of applause. So all I've done in Ecamm Live, it has keyboard shortcuts for all this stuff. Everything has a keyboard shortcut that you can assign. So I've assigned that. I've gone to the editor and then put that in with the editor. You've got 6 buttons, but you've also got multiple pages per button. And you've also got multiple banks. So I could press these two to go up a bank. That would then give me 6 more buttons. And I could then bank down. So the reason that Morningstar stuff is good is that it's super duper flexible. You can set it up any way you want, and you can add stuff with all the ports on the back. So you've got your regular MIDI, you've got these Omni ports, these mini MIDI ports. There's these new ones on the side there, and the buttons are staggered too. So it's angled, and the back buttons are higher than the front ones. So I used to use the MC8 when I did the live streaming. So it's great. This is great because you can be playing the guitar and singing, and if you want to switch to another camera, you can, or say you're singing halfway through the song, you could just hit switch D, and it brings that up while you're playing. So you haven't got to take your hands off and use the keyboard. So really nice. And then of course you can use it with the Quad Cortex to control the looper or change things around. So I really like it. I will make a video about it eventually, but that's a really nice product. Had no issues with it so far. All right, let's go on to some of your questions then. Rex says, contemplating which ukulele to take on a week-long cruise next week. Oh, where are you going to? I'm going to be traveling this year, and I'm going to take the Yamaha Silent guitar. That's a guitar that I'm not going to sell. Now, I don't love that guitar. It's obviously it has like hardly any sound acoustic, just the sound of the strings, and it plays okay because it's set up. I have no real connection with that guitar at all. It's a tool, so I would take that simply because it folds up and it's really light, and it plays okay. It sounds okay with headphones, and it sounds pretty good live too when you plug it in. It's got IRs in there. Oh, Nick, thank you. Thanks for subscribing. Here, look. So I just want to apologise for my demeanour today because I'm quite aware that I'm very I'm not quite with it because of my cold. Anyway, let's keep pressing through. So for that reason I keep forgetting what I'm saying as well. It's really annoying. Yeah, so I would take the travel guitar. What I would consider, I know you're a Rainsong fan. If you travel a lot, I would look at those Rainsong parlor guitars, the small body Rainsong parlor guitars with a set of maybe elixirs on there so the strings last really well. But you'll want to take a ukulele, so I guess you can take any ukulele to a cruise, right? Very easily. But yeah, when I like ukulele, but I just love 6-string guitar. So I'm gonna take I'm gonna keep the Yamaha Silent guitar for that purpose. Can you see the actual prices paid for sold guitars? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Like what it sold for in the end, I'm not sure. Maybe someone knows. Jeffrey, welcome. Do you have a method for learning new guitar skills? I'm learning modes and I'm hanging posters on the wall. I mean, you just got to do whatever works for you, right? I did I've had so many different guitar teachers over the years and watched so many videos over the years, and I've even studied teaching. When I lived in London, I did a teaching degree, and that showed me there's all these different ways of learning, and it showed me that people learn in different ways. So all I can say is you've got to learn what works for you. The thing about the modes is, I still don't like to talk about the modes because it's such a simple thing when you break it down to what the modes are. But there's always been so much mystery and mystique around the modes, hasn't there? So I remember for years, like, I found it so hard to get my head around what it even was. And I did that too. I looked for all these different ways. The problem when I was a student at music school is that there was only those teachers there to explain the modes to you. And so it was a very limited pool of information. Now, you can go on YouTube and get 1,000 videos on the modes. And one of those videos is really going to speak to you and be a way that you process what it means and how to explain it. And I think that's incredible. I still think it's great to have an actual physical teacher, of course. I mean, as with everything digital, the physical thing is still more desirable in many ways. But having all those different angles on the topic is great. I think that's a really great thing. Because there's so many ways to explain it, and there's so many different ways that might click in more with yourself, right? So my method, for me, it's repetition. For me, it's watching many different approaches to it, finding the one that clicks with me the most, or even getting different angles on the same thing to really, because I'm the kind of person that really needs to know exactly what's going on. So I would watch many videos and many lessons to get all different sides of it. And then for me, it's repetition, going over and over and over and over it. I don't feel like I retain information very well. I have to really like force myself to keep going over it and over and over it, and then I eventually get it after a long time. But I mean, feel free to put in the chat what you do to learn new things. I mean, when I learned fingerstyle, what I do for fingerstyle guitar now, I same thing. It was just like a brick wall. It's like I started strumming with a pick. How am I possibly ever going to play fingerstyle? Because I've only ever used a pick my whole life. I just had to sit down, figure out a very basic exercise, and do that over and over and over. I think it took me years. I think finally it was Blackbird. No, finally it was like just pluck all the strings at once on a chord, just to get the fingers actually used to that motion at all. And then it was Blackbird. And I feel like it took me years to do that. But then I got it. Or it also may have took me years because I didn't focus enough on it. Sometimes I can be lazy. Obviously, if I'd spent all my time on just that thing, it would have come quicker. But I think because it wasn't easy in the first place, because it was so alien to me because I was so used to strumming all the time, and I still strum most of the time now because I'm a solo act, right? But I also do several, maybe 2 or 3 fingerstyle songs for variation in a show. And then I remember just woke up one day and it was just much better. And then I just went from there. And then I learned Freight Train. It was like starting all over again. It's like, this is impossible. How do you play the 2 fingers? How do you separate the fingers out? This is so annoying. And I swear my family went crazy back then. I remember they got really annoyed. Like, have you have you ever been told that? Are you still playing that song? Why you're gonna play that again? Seriously? Yeah, I'll give you that advice too. What Doc said. If you buy an instrument or buy something, Sweetwater send excellent packaging, right? So if you get something from them and you get that excellent quality bubble wrap, don't be tempted like I have been to throw it away. My biggest problem is space here. We don't have any space. It's an apartment. So it'd be very tempting sometimes just to throw stuff. But if you know you've got stuff to sell down the line, or even if you don't, try to keep that high quality stuff and even the boxes folded up if you can under the bed. I mean, if you fold up some guitar boxes over the years and keep under the bed, if you can keep that bubble wrap, then when you come to sell something, you haven't got to buy that. That stuff now is expensive. The Reverb shipping boxes are lovely. I think you get 4 for like 35 or something. But that's still after tax and everything, it's like $10 a box. That's $10 you're down straight away. Bubble wrap, a big thing of bubble wrap at Staples here is $33. So with a coupon and tax, it comes out about $25. And it takes half of one of them to pack a box properly. And also the Reverb boxes are a bit longer for a base, so you have to put more packaging in. So right away, you can be down kind of $40. Now remember, if you're a professional musician and you have a business, you can claim for that when you do your taxes, which are coming up soon, by the way, in America. So you can claim for that, but you're still down $40 before you've even started. And actually, I've got the 2 Harley Bentons for sale. I do want to make the video. I do want to make a video on them before I sell them. But the cheapest Strat guitar sold, and I'd put $35 shipping, and they were across the country, and I figured it would be like $70 to ship that, so I gave them the money back. Now you might think that's bad of me to do that, but I just couldn't do it. The guitar was so cheap. If I paid all that money for the shipping as well, I would, after fees and reverb fees and everything else, I basically would have just broken even. Wouldn't have made anything, and I would have lost money on the original purchase. So be careful with that. I think there's a way on there to say like you'll pay the actual shipping. I tend to just put a blanket shipping and pay a little bit more myself. That's fine if you're selling a $3,000 Martin, but if you're selling a $130 guitar, that doesn't work. So that was my mistake. I have a Santa Cruz Guitar Company OM from the mid-90s. I bet that's nice. They make good stuff. I have no clue what it's worth. Prices asked for those OMs are all over the place. You know, there's also some factors as well about what is it worth to you. I think that's important too. I've got this Japanese bass that I bought a few years ago, and I put it on reverb, and someone was very helpful. They told me the case for this bass is worth as much as the bass. I didn't know that, so I really appreciated that. I didn't know that at all. And I put it up for a little bit more than what I paid for it because of inflation. Excuse me. But then what happened was I did freak out a bit and think, well, I've only got one bass. Maybe I should keep the bass. And that's something that I'm trying not to listen to, because the reality is I'm not going to play that thing ever again. But I weighed it and I realized to myself, that's light. It's like just over 8 pounds. It's really nice. It's aged, but not messed up at all. It looks really, if on camera, you wouldn't know it was an old bass. It's from the 80s, and it's Japanese, so they're very well thought of. And I just thought to myself, the fact of the matter is, if I sell that for $1,000 and then shipping and fees and end up with $800, how am I ever going to buy a bass for $800 of that quality again? You'd have to go. So what I do is I often go on Sweetwater because they give you the weight of the guitars. So I went on there and looked at like what would an American-made professional 2 bass be. But the problem is they're like, right now, a lot of the wood right now is heavy, I've noticed, on all guitars in generalization, but it's true. And they're like £9 and they're $2,000. And I just thought, man, you know, if I sell that and I do need another bass and I have to spend more money for something that's heavier, that's a drag. So I actually put the price up a little bit on that. I'm not worried if that one sells or not. To me, that's worth more. To me, that's worth $1,500. Now you might say, well, no, it's not as crazy. It's not worth $1,500. Well, to me, it's worth it. If I can get $1,500 for it, I'll let it go. Especially as the case is extremely rare and worth a bit of money. So someone could buy that and sell the case and use the gig bag they already own. That's fine. But to me, I'm just like, to me, and I can always change my mind. I can always lower the price next year and sell it on. But I don't want to sell that and then I need a bass, and every bass that I look at is really heavy and costs 3 times what that costs and maybe isn't even as nice. So that is a personal decision. Sometimes you've got to do your market research, and I had the same problem with that bass. There's not many other basses around like it to compare them to. You need to compare everything price-wise. But also, what do you think is worth? I think that has value as well. What are you willing to let it go for? Do you like it? Will you ever need it? So, Staley, how you doing? Do whatever it takes. I record myself playing. It really helps me evaluate post-practice. Yeah, watching yourself back is very important. And we all have phones now, so we can film ourselves and listen back. That's a way to, like you say, evaluate yourself. Use a metronome. Yep, I always forget to do it, but it's the single most important thing to ever do. It's not a fun thing to even pull out the metronome and turn it on and start going, but it is the thing that will make you a much better musician. And the one that I recommend, it's always here because I always use it. But I'm just being honest, even though it's within arm's reach, I often don't turn the metronome on. But this is the Strobo Plus HDC. It's a strobe tuner and a metronome. So you can check your bending in tune and you can play along to the metronome. That's the one that I recommend. Jeffrey has a beat buddy. No, here's the thing with that. Playing along to actual beats is more inspiring than playing along to a metronome click. But be careful, like in the beat buddy, there's a drunk setting. The drunk setting makes it speed up and slow down. So make sure that's not turned on, because then you might be playing, even if it's on 5%, you might be playing to something that's not actually a metronome at all. So bear that in mind. Some backing tracks are not recorded to a click. They're actually freeform. So that's not so good. A dedicated, professional, high-quality metronome is the best practice tool, in my opinion. Thank you, my friend. I feel so much better in myself, but I'm still congested. Oh, you got one. The doc asked me which one I have. I said that one. He got it. Awesome. You can practice modes with it? How? With the tuner? Staley, I like the combo of cage system and then adding theory as well. Still learning modes. Yeah, caged is great. It really breaks down the fretboard. But the danger is it can also make you think in patterns and think in the caged way and not in any other way. That's why I think it's so good to do multiple lessons. So you have a bit of caged in your mind, a bit of scales in your mind, a bit of using your hearing to work things out in your mind. I think it can be, the problem with the guitar is more so than like a piano is you can start to see things in patterns and shapes, and you can hear that in the playing. I never did that with the piano. With the piano, it was more just a map. With the guitar, I tend to think of shapes. I think maybe because a lot of teachers teach in shapes on the guitar. Maybe that's why. And it makes sense because you can move the shape around. You can't do that on the piano. So I get that, and that can be a good thing too. Andora's Revenge. It took me 3 years to play fingerstyle well enough to entertain myself. Now picks just baffle my hand. Really? See, I never fell out of love with the pick. The pick is still my number one. But I like to put it down 2 or 3 songs per gig. Not all gigs. In a rowdy, raucous pub, I'll play it with a pick all night. But if I'm doing like a wedding or background music, I'll definitely try to put in 2 or 3 fingerstyle songs just for variation. Rex is going on the Joco cruise in the Caribbean. Oh, so it's a musical cruise. They do that a lot now. They do like the blues cruise and things like that. YouTubers. Oh wow, that sounds fun. So are you gonna try to make a video of you playing on the cruise? That'd be cool. Yeah, really nice. Wow. How long are you going for? You going next week? How many days? What dates are you going? It's a great cruise full of musicians, board gamers, artists, riders, lots of geeks and nerds with clear ocean water swimming group. Oh, okay, that's nice. That's nice. So you get up and you play ukulele together. That's really nice. Not like the cruises where you spend all day in the buffet eating food all day long and in the bar with all you can drink. Dorian is fun. Just start on 2 and play the major scale. Exactly. That's how I think about them most of the time. When I figure them out, I think because I came from piano originally, I think, well, the major scale is C to C, all the white notes. So D to D is Dorian, and so forth. That's how I think about it. But again, this all depends. I come from piano originally. If you don't come from piano originally, how are you going to do it then? So that's why I said earlier, I don't really think I can offer a way to learn something. I think you've got to try multiple ways based on what you do and your experience and what else you play to find a way that works for yourself. With piano, it's the same thing over and over. Fretboard changes shapes. Well, what messes up with the piano is you have black key, white key, black key, white key, white key, white key, black key, white key, right? If it was black key, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white. So because you have those, the E and the F and the B and the C together, it messes up some of the patterns. You still have patterns. You can still count the intervals between each key. You can still say it's like a major scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, whatever. You can do that, but to see it, you can't just superimpose the shape. Like on a fretboard, you can just learn a major scale and just move it anywhere and play the same thing. That's what I meant. Well, everyone's going on the blues cruise. I'm going on the Blues Alive at Sea cruise with Joe Bonamassa. Music from 9 a.m. till 2 a.m. So many great. That's awesome. Tommy Emmanuel does those as well. Tommy does a cruise where he plays, all different acts play. Now, I'm sure these cruises still have unlimited buffets and all you can drink, right? Open bars and things like that. And regular cruises do have that as well. They have entertainment. I hear that Norwegian are cutting back on entertainment now. So maybe that's why these music cruises started up then, for people that want to go and just do music all day rather than just go and have a few shows and lounge in the sun and drink and eat all day. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, I meant that that's just the way that the way the shapes work is slightly different on the guitar, because you can learn one thing and move it anywhere, where on the piano you can't do that. You can move stuff around, but you can't just move one pattern around different places. No open bars. Well, they do things like Norwegian will do an open buffet 3 times a day, and open restaurants 3 times a day, and then you can also pay for special meals that are fancier, that are extra money, and you can pay for just drinks at the bar, or you can pay for like $500 and you can just drink whatever you want, or you can upgrade that and then have like the top shelf stuff as well. So it's an interesting spin on it, because on a regular cruise you always get I had Dave on an interview once, so you're always going to get like the acoustic solo musician, and maybe someone playing jazz piano in some of the restaurants, and they'll move around the ship and play different places. I considered doing it myself a while ago, but the problem I think with doing that is you'd be cutting yourself off to what you've built up already. So my regular work would obviously disappear completely if I did that. But if you're fresh out of school, and I mean, not just, but one scenario, if you're fresh out of school looking for work and you're competent on, done music school or something, you haven't got a place to live yet, I think that could be a really, really great way to do things, to start off doing that, because you can just save the money, right? You haven't got any rent to pay. So that'd be cool. And I'm sure it'd get your chops up as well. If you were on the stage band and every night they gave you music to play and you had to just play it, I'm sure it'd be fun too. Oh, there we go. Tommy was on this one a few years ago. Yep, I saw that. I didn't see it, but I saw that he was doing it. Wow. That's great. And I bet he was around the ship too, right? Because I've been to some of Tommy's workshops, and I would get up at like 7 one morning and walk downstairs for breakfast, and I'd see Tommy sitting there in the lobby practicing guitar. And that's a really nice thing to see as well. Makes it more real. Jeffrey said, "Thanks, Aaron. Everyone back to work. I'll make sure the Beat Buddy's not on drunk mode. Can't guarantee the same thing for myself." Very good, very good. Maybe if you're on drunk mode, it will cancel out drunk mode. No, it won't. It'll just make everything sound even worse. They always say that, don't they? Don't get drunk at a gig. You'll think you'll sound amazing, but you'll sound terrible. Yeah, Tommy plays a telly, which makes sense because a lot of acoustic players like to play tellies, right? The drink package is the problem with drinks packages is it might be, say, $500 for a 10-day cruise, and you can have anything under $15 as much as you want. If you want all the stuff, like everything, or access to any alcohol, then it might be seven. I'm just making numbers up. It would be more money. Let's say 700. But then you've also got to pay the gratuities on top of that as well. So you can pay that in advance, or you can pay it after the cruise. But then you're looking at a lot. So the problem is, I think, because we did a cruise a few years ago, and it was like, oh, we can do the open bar. It sounds really fun. But the travel agent said, don't do it, because you got to ask yourself, a bit like same thing with guitars. You got to ask yourself, how many do you need? How many drinks are you really going to have a day? All right. So if you're the kind of person that likes a glass of wine a night, it might seem like it's a good idea to get the open bar because you're going to get those 10 glasses of wine, but it's not, because you're going to spend maybe $500. That's a lot more than buying them one by one. So the only way to win, come out on top of that, is to have at least 5 glasses of wine a day. And then you've got to ask yourself, do you want to have that much wine per day when you're on the cruise? Especially if you're at music. I don't know, maybe you do. I'm not judging. But basically, you've got to ask yourself, what do you want? So Just because it says open bar doesn't mean that's going to cover like free. It's not going to be free drinks. Have an odd drink here and there. To have the open bar, you've got to be someone that drinks a lot to get value from it. That's what I'm trying to say. Thomas says yes, he was around most everyone around except Joe. Yeah, I love that. It's funny, isn't it? It's things like that that stick in my mind. That has stuck in my mind over many things in the past. Going over breakfast and seeing Tommy sitting there shredding, going through his exercises, going through his songs, and just and then going for his morning walk, and that's so inspiring to see that. Even though he's at that hotel and he's teaching all day long and he's playing all night long in the different jam sessions, he's still getting up at 6. I think he gets up at like 6, and he for an hour just go over all the songs, play through all the songs, warm up his hands, then go for a walk for an hour, and then go home and have a smoothie. That really stuck in my mind, that dedication and that professionalism. I love stuff like that. And that's the great thing when you get to see people. Because when you go to a regular concert, you walk in and you sit there most of the time and you watch them come out and play, and that's wonderful. And you go home and you're done, right? But with these, I used to go to the Tommy Emmanuel camps, they were called. And the cruise is obviously similar to that. Although I don't know if they do lessons. At the camps, they did sessions and lessons as well. But it's so, I love that. Like being there for a week in the hotel. And then you might have breakfast and be at Tommy's table, and you can just ask him. I think back then I was learning Freight Train, actually. I said to him, I'm working on Freight Train. Like, can you just show me? And he just grabs the guitar and just goes, yeah, like this. And you're sitting like this close to his hand, and you can see him. He was changing from C into E, and I could see how he did it. Because I was like sitting right there next to him. And you can see the tips of the fingers on the fretboard. It's incredible. And just to be around that, so inspiring. I love those camps. I haven't done them for a long time. I know they do them again now. They can be pretty. I don't say expensive, but they can. Obviously you're taking a week off gigging and you're going there and paying a couple of grand. But what you're getting is basically what you call a musician's vacation, like a musician's cruise. You're getting to be around musicians. You're in a hotel full of musicians. You've got the 5 pros there, like Tommy, and they had some other people there as well. And you get to talk to them, and just the way you can hang out with them on that level is invaluable to me, because it's one thing watching someone at a concert and being inspired and seeing their fingers from a long way away, but to actually be around people like Tommy Emmanuel for a week and interact with him. And it can be difficult because everyone wants to talk to him. As soon as Tommy Emmanuel shows up, everyone's over there, right? That's why that morning was good, because I woke up and he was there and there was no one else around. And I just got to see him in his element doing his thing. But the minute he walks into a hotel lobby, normally everyone just like comes around like flies, which is fair enough. Everyone wants to speak to him and ask questions, right? I get it. I do too. But you're going to get at least that little 5 minutes here and there throughout the week where you do get to just sit and talk and watch and learn. And then the other teachers as well, and the other people as well. The people there that are just there to jam like you are and learn like you are. It's really amazing. They really are good. I wasn't sure of those kind of camps originally. I was like, oh, it's just a way for them to make more money, and I don't know if I'll like it. But I really love it. It's so intense, and I love that. I love that. You always learn at least something really cool as well. There's always like one thing you take away from that, which is amazing. All right. So yeah, so just to finish up then, if there's no more questions, because I got the Marshall Bluesbreaker reissue, which is cool. It's in the closet behind me, and I'm going to probably do some sort of video on that tonight. So I'd like to do that this evening. Not sure what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to compare it to the Marshall Bluesbreaker in the QC, although Anderton's already said that it does in fact sound slightly different to the original. So that might not turn out quite how I want it to. I think I might try to make some captures of it and put them on the Quad Cortex Cloud, make a video about doing that, and just give my thoughts on how it sounds. Because those pedals are so funny. They're so big and bulky and heavy. And back in the day, people didn't really like them anyway. Not like they do now. And And then once John Mayer started to use them, the price went through the roof. They're going to be $250. They're not. They just told me they're not limited edition. $250 plus tax. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna keep the one I have. I wanted to get one again because I had an original. Sold it really cheap not that long ago, 10 years ago, and I just wanted to see it again because I never used the one I had. That's why I sold it, right? But I just wanted to see it again, hear it again, just for fun, really. Just wanted to see what it's like. And also, yeah, I bought it last year when I thought, okay, great, I can make some videos on it too. So I will make some videos on it. I will try it out. I don't think for a minute I'm going to want to take that around with my Quad Cortex or whatever, even my little pedal board. It's going to take up too much space. So I don't think that will hang around. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll keep an open mind. And I will capture it. So I have captures of it on the Quad Cortex. I think that would be a cool thing. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. And then the Morningstar. This is a much more fun product for me to talk about and make videos about because I really, 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 really like it. And I would use this all the time. I mean, the fact that I'm using it right now in this live stream is wonderful because it's not just something I can use at gigs and my music work. This is something I can use for everything. I mean, they didn't add a way to switch your amplifier via jack, which is a shame. They make another pedal for that. That would have been amazing. If I had that, this would be amazing, like the ultimate amp foot switch. But it will work with any computer, iPad, iPhone, or MIDI controlled device and do 99% of what you want to do, which is cool. I'm also very happy they put USB-C in it as well. And it's actually got 2 USB ports. It's got the one which is the device where the port powers it. And then that also sends the MIDI commands to the computer. And that's got a host. So you have another one coming out of that to another device as well. And then you've got all these Omni ports and relay ports here. So you can add just a 2-button TRS foot switch to one of these. And then you'll have another 2 switches with no battery. So you could use that to go up. In fact, that'd be great because you could use that to go up and down banks. So Ecamm Live could be just up and down 2 banks. So bank 1, bank 2. Yeah, so bank 1 could be Ecamm Live, bank 2 could be Ecamm Live, bank 3, and you just go up and down between the 3 of those. And then bank 4 could be the Quad Cortex, bank 5 could be Quad, and then just use that 2-button foot switch to go up and down to choose what you want. It's really nice. The funny thing is, a lot of these products have been, like the Tone Decks is being redesigned as well. A lot of these products are being redesigned because of the chip shortage. You know that? Like the Quad Cortex has different parts in it now to the original one. They didn't change the design. It was a brand new product, but they had to buy new chips. So in buying the new chips, they had to just use those parts to make it work the same. But your Quad Cortex might be different to mine. With the MC controllers, they were going to do this anyway, I believe. They wanted to do a better screen. But they also decided to just stop making the MC6 and just make the MC6 Pro and just change the casing and change the chip and change the screens, everything. So make a new product with parts that are now available. So you're going to see a lot of products like the Tone Decks that are coming out this year that may not have come out so quickly before. Maybe the chip shortage meant they just scrapped the product they had. They couldn't get the parts. They just scrapped it and just made a new one, but used that opportunity to make like a version 2. And I think that could be a good thing for many products. And then many products you have already, like I know Sony did it as well with the PlayStation 5. There's been 3 versions of the PlayStation 5. You wouldn't know that. If you got a PlayStation 5, you got a PlayStation 5. What do you care, right? But if you watch the videos where they open up 3 of them from different years, they're all quite different inside because they're using different parts that are either more available or cheaper or both. So it's interesting. All right. We've been an hour and I need to go and drink some more water, and I want to try and do a video tonight about the Blues Breaker reissue. So I'm going to say goodbye, but thanks for joining me. Once again, if you're new here, please subscribe and ring the bell. Can I use this again? Yep. If you're new here, please subscribe and ring the bell. Turn on notifications. I've been pretty consistent lately. Live streams Monday, news on Friday, and a recorded video around Wednesday. But if you turn on notifications and ring the bell, It'll tell you if I post a video. Sometimes it might be a random video at a different time as well. So have a great week. I look forward to seeing you again next Monday. Take care and be well. Don't get a cold like I did, because it's not fun, especially when you got to sing. But yes. Take care and be well. I'll see you very soon, and definitely have a video up on Wednesday, and I'll see you again live next Monday. Next Monday will be March. Crazy. Thank you, Staley, and thank you, Rosanna. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.